everybody. Welcome to Body Slam the Competition. Of course, I'm your host, Chris Adams. Today we're going to be talking about Sting. We're going to do what I like to refer to as a wrestler profile. And when I say profile, I'm not talking about giving you the date of birth, where they're from, who their family is and things like that. No, I'm talking about a profile, a spotlight on the wrestler himself and what all you remember about him. This is what I remember about him, and that's what I'm going to bring to you, and that's what I want you to reply back with me. What's your earliest memories of Sting? What do you like the most about Sting, and what would you like to see for him from this point forward until he retires officially? So my earliest memory of Sting is the Memphis wrestling area. He came in with Jim Hellwig, who was later on the Dingo Warrior / Ultimate Warrior. And they had a tag team, and they were called the Freedom Fighters. I believe it was Freedom Fighters. And didn't fare too well. They were kind of a couple young stiff kids out there, not too charismatic, couldn't hardly do a back body drop right, it seemed. But they could press slam you all day long. That impressed the crowd because they haven't seen anybody that muscular come through there like that before. They went from their babyface look of the Freedom Fighters to more of a bad guy version of the Road Warriors called the Blade Runners. Rock and Bash, I believe they were called, and lasted a little bit less than a year, running through the Mid-South there, AWA in Memphis, and then they were gone, and I didn't see them for a while. And back in that time, that was the good thing about territories. You could be gone from a place for a while, and no one would see you, and then they'd be real big into you again when you return, like you're making your triumphant return, and the people in the new area that you went to hadn't seen you before, so you could do the same thing all over again and be something fresh. So I hadn't seen them in a while, and late one night I'm watching wrestling. It's UWF wrestling on Channel 5, 1 a.m. in the morning on a Friday morning. I still remember this. And there's a wrestler wrestling with Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert and Rick Steiner, and he calls himself Sting. And at this point in Memphis, he never went by the name Sting. It was either Steve Borden, which is his name, or it was Rock or Bash. I don't know which one he was. And now he's going by the name Sting. Beach blonde hair. He's got spiked hairdo, crew cut type deal, little rat tail in the back. Muscular, very athletic. At this point in time, he's learned a lot apparently since I'd first seen him break in, and flying across the ring, splashing people, press slamming still, which was impressive. But a lot more to his wrestling ability would have been added since I'd seen him. And the UWF didn't really last too long. I believe Cowboy Bill Watts owned it. They ended up selling out to the Crockett's, which owned WCW, NWA, and all the guys went there. So that's where we see Sting break out on the scene real big at this point. Hits the big time. He's in one of the two major companies that are out there, or one of three, because AWA may have been around still at the time before it collapsed. I'm not sure. I forget if it was already gone or not. But anyway, Sting is in the WCW, NWA now at this point. Immediately makes his move on Ric Flair in the championship. He's got that gold in his eye. I think Ric Flair helped him along a lot early in his career. He helped make him as big as he was early on, and basically turned him into the franchise there. I mean, he was WCW, whereas Ric Flair was WCW at one point. You couldn't do without the Horseman and Ric Flair. It became apparent that with Sting there, missing Ric Flair for a little bit wasn't quite as bad, or missing the Four Horsemen if they weren't there, because both Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard left and went for the WWE for a moment as the I forget their tag team name. They gave them a stupid tag team name, the Brain Busters, I believe, and let Bobby Heenan manage them. And then Ric Flair came in, also with Bobby Heenan, and Ric Flair did very well for himself there, better than Anderson and Blanchard. But they all eventually came back. Sting, on the other hand, never left and went anywhere. He stayed where he was. He won the title a couple times. He'd won the U.S. title, I believe, a couple times. He feuded against numerous people, the Four Horsemen, whatever, Van Vader. Him and Vader had something going on for a while. A lot of good matches. The Road Warriors turned on him at one point. He had a feud against the Road Warriors. It was just fun. That was a fun time for Sting. And then the Monday Night Wars came about, where WCW came out with Nitro to kind of oppose Monday Night Raw. So they called it to Monday Night Wars to see who could own Monday nights in wrestling. Now, WCW made a surge, they made a big move, and they moved ahead. And that was quite frankly from the help of some former WWF people that came there, and they formed what they called the New World Order. And Sting, being the hero of the WCW, was leading the battle against them. And it went good for a while until they started exploiting the NWO a little bit too much and adding too many members. You take a good thing and you water it down, it doesn't become a good thing anymore. And so they changed Sting around from being the bleach blonde look of Sting to a more of a darker Crow version of Sting. He jet black hair, long black trench coat, carrying a black baseball bat, wouldn't talk anymore, just pointed the bat. If he pointed the bat at you, it was over with. It's coming for you. A lot of the former people who he'd been tagging with and teaming up against the NWO were turning on him and joining the NWO. At one point, the NWO had busted up and became the Wolfpack, the red and white NWO versus the black and white, the original. And Luger and Macho Man and a bunch of people, were in the Wolfpack, and eventually Sting ended up joining up with them. And the whole show at that point had practically become the NWO show anyway. I guess why not? So, not exactly my most favorite part of Sting, although it was kind of cool when he first joined the Wolfpack, because the Wolfpack was a cool thing at the time. It was a little exciting. No one liked Hogan at that point, for sure. He was the black and white NWO. And Sting joined up against that, which was kind of entertaining. The Monday Night Wars soon come to an end, with WWE eventually topping them out because they bought Turner. They bought out WCW, and Sting had decided he didn't want any part of going to WWE. He didn't like how the way things were run there. He wasn't going to join up with them because they did things that he didn't like in his eyes, such as women being a part of the matches with men and getting beat up on by the men. Certain sexual innuendos they made a lot of on the show he didn't care for. He wasn't going to be a part of it. So he kind of retired for a little bit. No one's seen him for a while. And then next thing you know, he had his resurgence come back to TNA Wrestling, TNA Impact, where he had quite a few solid years in there as well. Now we're at the point to where I think he doesn't know what he wants to do. He wants to retire, I think, possibly, but he wants a few more good matches. He thinks he's got a few more good matches left in him, and he probably does. But some of these matches people are wanting to see are matches that should have happened years ago, and who wants to watch it now? I don't care to see Sting versus The Undertaker. I could care less about that. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, sure, I'd been into it, but not anymore. They're both old and past their prime. The match can't be that good, and I hope they don't do it. As it is right now, our current and present time, Sting is in the WWE, and at Night of the Champions coming up, he will face Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title. In that same night, Seth Rollins has to defend his U.S. title, since he is a multi-champion now, against John Cena. I don't know if the matches will be back-to-back or how it'll go, but he has to wrestle twice in one night against two quality opponents. And Sting has a chance at this point to become the World Heavyweight Champion in the WWE, which would mean that he's been the major World Heavyweight Champion in every organization or big organization he's been a part of. I won't count the UWF because it wasn't that big and it wasn't open for very long, but NWA WCW Champion, TNA Heavyweight Champion, and if he wins the Night of the Champions, WWE Champion. And quite frankly, I hope he does win. I'd like to see it. If he does win, I only hope that he becomes a regular on TV at that point and doesn't just show up every other month or just at a pay-per-view or something. I don't want to see it go that way. He's entertaining enough. He can be on TV every week, twice a week if he wanted to, and at least be there and talk. You don't have to wrestle every week, but he can be there and talk and wrestle every other week or once a week, maybe on Raw only or something, or 1 week he's on Raw and 2 weeks later he's on SmackDown Wrestling or something to spread it out some. I don't care how they do it, as long as they keep him on there and don't just let him win the title and show up once a month and talk about who he's going to wrestle next. That's just not entertainment to me. But anyway, that's what I remember about him. My fondest times of him were probably WCW, NWA when he was younger, fighting Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen. That's the time I thought he's at his best, at his brightest, his most athletic. Um, Everybody always loved watching the Stinger Splash leading into the Scorpion Deathlock. It was great. And I want to know what you think about it. What was your favorite time with Sting? And for all of you former wrestlers that I have on my Facebook, who I'm going to tag in this as well, do you have any memories of working with Sting? Did you wrestle against him, wrestle with him? What are your thoughts on him? I want everybody to get into this and let me know, because this is going to be one of my biggest videos yet as far as the topic goes that people should have a good discussion over. Come to the Facebook page. I'm sorry, not the Facebook page. You can go to the Facebook page by all means. Talk on there. It's a place we hold a lot of conversations at, and that's great. But come to the YouTube channel. If you're not currently a member or a subscriber, please look down below. Hit the subscribe button. We will have a lot more things like this on here, and a lot of other great discussions coming up soon. I can guarantee you that. This is something we're going to make big, and I can make it huge with the help from all of you by getting in and jumping into conversations and participating with us. Don't be afraid to register with us. Leave your comments. If you have any kind of complaint of how you think my show is run or something, if you think I'm boring, tell me. Hey, if you can make me better, I'll listen to you. Whatever it takes. Let's just get some talking going on about this and make this a fun thing for everybody. I look forward to hearing from you all. I hope you come see the video. I hope you hit the thumbs up button on it. Hit the like, share it, and most of all, like I said, subscribe. We'll all have a fun time. Thanks for joining us this time on Body Slam Competition, and until next time, my name is Chris Adams. I look forward to hearing from you all. Goodbye.